started. Let's start again. Hopefully it will be better this time. The audios are selected here, so that should help you hear it. And I hope you can see my screen. Can you tell me, please, if you can see it? Welcome to this first part of the course, Take Charge of Your Life, Your Potential, Your Philosophy.
Yes,
and here you will discover that your potential is limitless. Just watch these 2 videos.
It's an overworked word, but there's no other way to describe Nick Vujicic. He really is inspiring. Nick was born without arms or legs. And when he tells the story of his birth, the shock, the confusion suffered by his parents, he'll have you in tears. Growing up wasn't all that much fun either. So how did this poor little Aussie kid do so well? Become school captain, go to uni, get a double degree, and set himself up in a really great job. That's the story we're about to tell. A message you'll never forget. Nick Vujicic was born with no legs and no arms.
I'm going out on a limb, what do you want?
But he's sure got plenty of guts.
This is scary right here, mate. This is where you gotta have guts. Oh, you're a bit crazy. 10. Nice, mate. Thank you very much. You're a generous judge.
This 25-year-old Australian is climbing over every obstacle life puts in front of him, and he's doing it with style.
You really can do anything, can't you?
There's no harm in believing so.
Everybody's going through something. You know, we're all going through something, just my pain is a bit more visible than yours or somebody else. When that clicked, it was like a light bulb when, you know, just flashed in my brain. I'm like, hey, now life I see as an opportunity. This circumstance, there's got to be something good.
No arms, no legs.
No worries, mate.
So do you see yourself as a disabled person?
I know I have no arms, no legs, but the definition of disability is something stopping you from being able to do something. In my life, there's hardly anything I've found that I can't do.
Even golf.
Even golf. There you go.
Nick is an inspiration with a phenomenal passion for life that's intoxicating for everyone who meets him.
Nice. Give me 5, man. I feel like I'm enjoying life and my life more than the average person out there. That I'm achieving more things than the average 25-year-old. It's great. I'm fulfilling my dreams, man.
Those dreams brought Nick to America 18 months ago. In a short time, he's become a smash hit as a preacher and motivational speaker.
Welcome, Nick Vujicic.
The secret to his success here is his Aussie accent and the ability to laugh at his lot in life.
Yeah, when you see me from the outside of a vehicle, you have no idea that I have no limbs. And we're at the traffic lights and this car comes up next to us and this girl is looking at me. So I look at her, she looks at me and I'm like, cool, let's have some fun here. I grab the seatbelt in my mouth and I loosen it like this. And then in the car seat, I just did this. And she was like, it was awesome.
Humour underpins everything for you. Humour in your message.
It's good to laugh once in a while, mate. It's a good relief. It's really, I mean, to be able to laugh at life, that's what I've found that I can now accomplish. There were many times I couldn't do that.
Nick was born in Melbourne in 1982, the long-awaited first child of Boris and Dushka Vujicic. But despite his lack of limbs, Nick was a perfectly healthy baby, and with sheer will, he adapted to everyday life. It's that same perseverance and imagination that drives him today.
That foot of yours is amazing.
Isn't it? I mean, without it, I'm so thankful for this little thing. You know, one day I broke it.
Really?
I sprained it. I didn't break it, but I was playing soccer one day. I sprained my foot. I couldn't walk in it for 3 weeks. Talk about feeling disabled.
And I suppose having that foot also at least gives you something I take for granted is a sense of touch and feel.
This is true. It's true. Because I think because I have less body surface, my skin is more sensitive than other people. You good?
Very good. Very impressive.
Look at that. That is perfect.
Well done.
That's all right, eh?
Yep. Be able to drive a Manly ferry soon. It's something he's always craved. As a teenager, he was determined to do things his way to lighten the burden on his parents. These days, his life is so busy, he's had to employ a full-time carer to speed up the process.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much.
But he doesn't need anyone to help him with his emails.
Do you pray for arms and legs?
Every now and then I do. I do pray for arms and legs. You know, I do have faith that God can, right now, in front of us, just, you know, come down with his light or whatever and bang, I have arms and legs. But the joy of having no limbs and being able to be used in such a unique way and powerful way for people, like, you can't give me any amount of money to even consider taking a magical pill to have arms and legs right now.
I'm here tonight to tell you this, that no matter who you are, no matter what you are going through, that God knows it, he's with you, and he's going to pull you through.
Nick's disability has become his drawcard. On the spiritual circuit, his ministry, Life Without Limbs, is now one of the biggest shows in town. So far, he's visited 14 countries and spoken to 2 million people.
6 years ago, you were speaking to 300 Year 10 students at a school in Brisbane.
That's right.
What's the biggest crowd you've spoken to today?
Now 110,000 people. Yeah, that was in India. It was incredible. Talk about nervous. My palms were sweaty. It was just...
Your palms were sweaty.
No, but it was amazing.
And how many people did you hug that night of the 110,000?
We did it because I know they would probably take me home and I couldn't say anything about it.
But you love hugging, don't you?
I love hugs, yeah.
You can't shake hands.
No, I think it's a waste of time. I love hugs. I mean, I think it's a great icebreaker as well, and it's my way of physically connecting with people. Can I give you a hug? Hugs first.
The day I joined Nick at a Los Angeles church, I witnessed the impact he has.
Give me a hug. Love you.
What are the people in this very, very long queue wanting to tell you, and what are they saying?
Sometimes they actually open up and tell me the deepest of secrets of just they feel comfortable around me and to share just what their brokenness is in their life.
And what do the kids say to you?
Oh, they love the jokes. You know, they touch my little foot down here and we give high fives and give me some skin sort of thing. You know, but the kids, I love the humor and they just it's a wow thing as well. But I think a lot of teenagers are deeply touched. It matters how you're going to finish. Are you going to finish strong?
His appeal to teenagers caps a remarkable turnaround from his school years, a time where he was ridiculed and tormented and suicidal.
There was one day I remember when I was 6 years old, I had a very, very hard day at school. And I just, hear their voices echoing in my mind, at night. And I got up out of my bed, I looked in the mirror and said, okay, Nick, I'm talking to myself. I'm saying, Nick, what do you have that is good, that no one can change, that no one can argue with? And I just wanted something. Just give me something to hold on to. There's got to be something good about me. And I looked myself in my eyes and I said, hey, you got some good-looking eyes.
That you do.
Thank you.
So your eyes are your limbs in a way. When you look at evangelists, they talk like this, don't they? Do you use your eyes to talk?
That's what they say about the eyes. The eyes are the windows to your soul. And when they see love resound in your eyes and they see that there's something different about you, not just your smile, but there's this joy in your eyes, this sparkle, this passion for living. It's contagious. And all of a sudden, people are jealous of a man without arms and legs. And that spins me out.
Kids one day?
Absolutely. Yeah, medically, I can have kids. Well, I'm not going to be pregnant, but yeah. But Yeah, I see kids definitely in my life. Yeah, I can't wait to be a father.
What do you look forward to most if you can be a dad, or when you become a dad?
We're going to be able to hug and play, you know, but I think it's just going to be a crazy day, me walking my daughter down the aisle. Yeah, that's going to be so precious.
Take me as you find me, all my fears and failures.
When he was born, it was considered a disaster. Shock for the doctors, confusion and grief for his parents.
Everything I believe in.
But what Nick Vujicic has achieved so far in his life is truly inspirational. His story touched me, and he hopes to tell it to many, many more.
Thank you. I want to reach the world. I really do. As many as possible. And I'll do this till the day I die, mate. I know it.
Really?
Yep. Yes.
You want to speak to millions and millions and millions?
Yes.
Well, I love how you dream big.
Why not, mate? That's the message. If a man without arms and legs is dreaming big, why can't we? Why can't we all?
Nick Vujicic was born 36 years ago with no arms, no legs, but a great sense of humour. When you go swimming, you call yourself
Bob, because I just Bob.
and I say no arms, no legs.
No worries.
Mate.
Mate, it's all good.
You're a charismatic fella.
Do you see my arms flying everywhere when I talk?
Humour underpins everything though, doesn't
Yes.
it? It really does.
It does.
Nick had once feared a lonely, tormented life. But this remarkable man of faith has worked hard to create his own miracle.
Oh, you got me.
He's now a married man and a father.
Good boy. I love you.
Nick lives in a beautiful house near Malibu, California,
Hey, Nick.
with his wife, Kanae, and their 4 children.
Wonderful to see you. Welcome back.
Thank you, mate. The house looks terrific. You look terrific.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Today, Nick is the father of 2 boys and identical twin girls.
Come in, Peter.
Thank you, Nick.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So, Peter, this is everyone. Dayan, Kyoshi, come say hi to Peter. Come, give him a high five. Give him a hug.
How are you?
My name is Kyoshi, and his name is Dan, right there.
You are beautiful. Kanae, beautiful.
Hi. How are you?
So good to see you.
So good to see you again.
You look stunning and all these
thank
beautiful
you.
children. Who are these little ones?
So this is Olivia.
Hello,
and
Olivia.
that's Ellie, and they're identical twins.
And you
right.
both look exactly
Like
your dada. My goodness me.
Nick and Kanae married in 2012 and wasted little time in creating their dream of a family. Nick had to throw himself headfirst into the smallest of daily obstacles most of us take for granted.
Hey, Kiyoshi, let's go.
What he can do with his body is truly remarkable.
Yay! Give me a high five.
Whether it's swimming, kicking a soccer ball,
Good.
or sending a text message, Nick just gets on with it. But it's when he was a 17-year-old at high school that a cleaner told him something that would one day transform his life.
This all began with like the school cleaner saying, I think you can talk to people, right?
Yeah, that's right. It started with the janitor saying, you're going to be a speaker. And I said, no, I'm not. You're crazy.
Welcome, Nick Vujicic.
The number of people listening to Nick started with a group of 6 and then grew to hundreds, to thousands, and then to hundreds of thousands.
Right now, if you know you need to make your life right with God, stand and come on down the front.
From presidents to prisoners, Nick has spoken to them all. He's both an evangelical
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I got kicked out and you lost me, so I'm back.
right now. If you know you need to make your life right with God, stand and come on down the front.
From presidents to prisoners, Nick has spoken to them all. He's both an evangelical pastor and a motivational speaker.
It's been now 70 countries. I've been to China, for instance, up to 37 times.
Biggest audience?
800,000 people face to face.
Today, Nick has returned to his hometown, Brisbane,
Good to see you.
and he's talking to teenage school kids about something extremely personal to him: school bullying.
Miss welcome at State Icon offer. Let's give it up for him.
Hello, Brisbane State. Hi, how are you? Good, good, good. So what is it? What are we looking for in life? For me, I wanted arms and legs, and I thought, man, if I just had arms and legs, then everything's gonna be okay.
This packed auditorium at Brisbane State High School is transfixed on Nick and his message.
Do you know that when I started my speaking career, I actually called 52 schools in southeast Queensland and said, hi, my name is Nick Vujicic and I'm a speaker. Can I come and speak at your school? And guess what they said? No, thank you. They hung up the phone. You see my foot? When you go through your ups and downs, you got to take one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time.
Do you reckon you're brave, Nick?
I'd have to say I've got a good level of courage, but for me, courage is when you've overcome your fear, but that doesn't mean you're not afraid.
I reckon you're very brave.
Thanks, Peter.
I reckon everyone would think you're very brave. You expose yourself in such a raw way, and that takes guts and courage. And I'm sure Kanye would agree with that.
Absolutely.
Very brave.
Absolutely.
We're going to the beach.
When it all comes down to it, Nick Vujicic has simply led his life by example. For this man and his remarkable wife, a handicap is only as big as you make it. Now, with the backing of a loving family, Nick has taken himself to the edge and not only survived, but prospered.
Give me a kiss. Thank you.
Nick, over 10 years ago, we sat on the beach and I asked you what your dreams were, and you said to fall in love and to have a family. Did you picture it like this?
Well, I did fall in love, and we are in love, and this is the most incredible life that we could ever. Well, it's even beyond our dreams.
How about you? Kane, did you believe that this would come back and visit you like this?
No, no way. This is beyond anything I could have ever imagined, but like Nick said, what a beautiful surprise, and I feel like I'm living the dream that I couldn't even dream.
What a life. I'll come back for their weddings.
The purpose of this video has been to remove the myth around what causes human greatness, just to cancel out certain things we have believed and trusted and put our attention to as the reason or the foundation for human greatness. That's one thing that this video is going to straighten out in your thinking. At least one thing you can tell from Nick's life is it's not having human body complete. It's not having arms or having legs. And you can add to that, it's not having a house or having a car. It's not having a mother or a father. It's not having friends. It's not having money. It's not having anything. The human greatness does not come from having anything. It just comes from your unlimited potential to create. Developing that is what we're going to be talking about.
Hi friends, my name is Girish Gogia. Exactly 14 years back, in the year 1999, me and a couple of friends, we had been to Goa, and we were really having a great time. I was diving from a cliff into the ocean. Very unfortunately, in spite of diving thousands of times earlier than that, I miscalculated the depth of water at that particular time. The water there was very shallow, and my head went and hit the seabed. My neck was instantly broken, and I was instantly paralyzed. I simply could not understand that why are none of my limbs functioning all of a sudden. I simply could not swim back to the shore. Approximately 25-30 minutes later, I found myself on the seashore. And friends, that's where started my second life. I was immediately rushed to the nearby hospital in Goa. They finally declared that I was 90% paralyzed, and there was no hope, as there's no cure for a cervical spinal cord injury related paralysis anywhere around the world. I had accepted the reality. I had promised myself that come what may, the show has to go on. One has to be relentless, absolutely intentional. One has to be driven, and one has to be absolutely unstoppable. And I decided that I'm going to get back to my interior designing career once again. In this condition, I remember I used to visit my projects very frequently, and I managed to complete 15 massive projects in 11 years post-paralysis. In the last 3 years, I finally decided to become a motivational, inspirational speaker, meeting millions of people and sharing my real-life experiences, making people happy and smile in spite of all kinds of adversities and trying times that they may be going through in life.
Right. Sorry about all those disruptions. Can I get some feedback from you? What do you think about those two videos? Please, can you give me your feedback? Can you unmute yourself, please, and share with me what you feel about those two videos? What do they communicate to you?
Well, both the gentlemen had a mindset. So despite their physical limitations, they made a conscious decision that still wasn't going to limit them. And actually, they were very able to. They were able to separate what they couldn't do physically with their bodies, with the fact that they could still bring something to the table that actually wasn't about their physicality. It wasn't about their ability to move or maneuver. They could get help with that. So they still saw themselves as valuable and had something important to share and to say.
Yeah.
And that was a way of their thinking was really resilient because they didn't give up.
Correct. Sure. Thanks for that.
Blessed.
Yeah. Anybody else?
For me. Okay,
Yeah.
I think what the two of them, the summary of what I gathered from the two of them is that disability isn't from your physical limbs or from surroundings. Disability is actually from the mind. It's like she said, your mindset. What do you imagine that you can do? It comes from imagination. It comes from talking to yourself, like your inner man, and then your courage, which is what you build inside that imagination, is what gives you the capability or the what's it called now? The ability to disable that disability that people see in you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello again.
Yeah. For me, I saw in both of them, both had dreams and they were determined to see those dreams come to reality, to fruition. And they were focused on those dreams. They never gave up on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
So, yeah, go on, Bryce.
Okay. To add to all the speakers have said, I also see the determination to refuse rejection. In fact, from the first clip, you could see when he started his speech in the school, he faces rejection, but he didn't give room for it. So he summoned up courage to overcome all those rejection. And so to me, to do anything, no matter how long it would take for me to be accepted, I must summon courage. I should not allow people rejection, because it's not in every outing that somebody will just accept your idea. There must be rejection. And so we cannot give in to such rejection, but to press forward with our dreams, and it will come to materialization. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
For me, I saw in Nick someone who took time to develop his mind and rejects everything about his physical conditions and depended solely on his mind. And that was why when he was attempting to swim, he actually said it's quite scary, but then in his mind, having developed that mind, the fear was not the fear of crashing or fear of hurting or anything. He just, dived and got it. So I think in both cases, it's really about taking time to develop the mind.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah. No, that's correct. And that's what I see there too. I think what we have all picked up, because these are real life stories. The people are still alive. These are their stories. That's what they went through. And there are many more. I just brought this to highlight something about human life, like I said there in the video. They're bringing out, and these are the kind of things that we look through in the course, some underlying principles that is governing human experience. You see, those people that have thought, people have a lot of ideas about what is keeping them, what their problems are, what the challenges that is facing their lives are. We know a lot of people that are in this state of these two videos we just watched, and if you had conversation with them, they would tell you that their problem is they don't have money. Nobody helps me. That's why I'm the way I am. And so many other things. So, but we're highlighting here, like we saw in that, you're seeing on the screen now, your potential is limitless. And it has nothing to do with what you have, anything in the physical environment you have or you don't have. We'll get more into it. So Brian Tracy in his book Goals writes that the complexity of the human brain is beyond belief or imagination. I mentioned that you will find in the human brain 100 billion cells or neurons, or 20,000 ganglia or fibers. Now, an average person functions with about 1% to 2% of their brain capacity all through their entire life. That's what the human brain is capable of. You look in the scripture in 1 Corinthians 12:7, and it has this phrase in it. Each human person is given something to do that shows who God is. I deliberately highlighted that word, who God is. Humans show who God is. And that establishes the potential inside every individual human. The capacity to show who God is. The God that we know with all kinds of names that we call him, a human being, demonstrates that God is like that. This capacity built into humans, each of us. And therefore, it shows our destination, how our lives are designed to finish up in this world. Each person, it is to reveal God. Whatever adjective that we can use to describe him, particularly maybe during prayer. I'm sure you've heard people call him all kind of names, big, gigantic names that he is. And what we are drawing our attention to is that God actually wired each of us, to reveal that. In fact, he is more excited with our revealing that than our saying it. He wired us up for that, each of us, wired to reveal God. And perhaps, of course, now most of all, our minds go to the people that reveal God are big men of God, big women of God, and that doesn't include us. But we're bringing something out. They're bringing something out in this course. It's another way of saying that the human potential is limitless. What can happen through a human being? And therefore, with so much potentials, question that can be correctly asked is, what's holding many back? Why are so few demonstrating this omnipotence in their lives? In fact, why has it actually become almost a traditional set that we are not at that level? In fact, we almost try to make sure we shrink away and dissociate ourselves from revealing the omnipotence of God. And I'm trying to keep myself away from preaching here because that's what I can get into. So let's go ahead with the training. We will answer the question, therefore, what is personal philosophy? And now question, I normally like using the story of David and Goliath, a familiar story that you'll find in the 1 Samuel chapter 17, 26, and then 31 to 37. I'm sure many of us here in our background growing up, you've heard about David and Goliath, and you know how that story went. I asked the question, observe where David said his victory came from. What did you remember that story? Where did David say his victory come from?
God.
From God. Yeah. Okay. He said, my question then is, was victory also said to come from the same source for Saul? Was that provision available to Saul as well?
Was.
I need to hear other people, please. Can everybody else need to talk to me, please? Please.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
It was also set up for Saul. Yeah, okay.
Available for Saul too.
Okay. Why couldn't Saul take advantage of that provision?
Is it a seminar?
I'm listening. Can you answer me, please? Why couldn't Saul take advantage of that provision?
Well, Saul did not depended on God. He was thinking of his own capability. So he wasn't able to make use of God's source
Provision.
of power to overcome the situation.
Okay. Get what I said. Saul's mind. Go on, Judy. Go on, Judy.
Saul couldn't connect with God, which is the source of that his potential.
He couldn't. If I use the word couldn't, why couldn't he? That's the question. What was happening is his capacity to connect with God. God was available. God was available to everybody else. Why couldn't Saul connect? Why couldn't Saul connect?
Saul was not. Okay.
Go on.
Okay. Saul couldn't connect to the source of God's power because he was not depending on him. He was afraid of the giants. He was seeing the giants rather than the power of God that he could depend to do something that would give him victory. And so he couldn't because he wasn't into fellowship, right fellowship with God.
Okay. Okay. Like you said before, his mind was tuned on himself. In fact, that yeah, we can put it that way. But really, if you think about it in the light of these videos we just watched, he said that if you remember when Nick was asked the question, he said, I was asked the question, do you feel you're disabled? He said, disability is when you feel there's something you cannot do. He was talking about himself. He said, but in my life, I find there is nothing I cannot do. He's talking about himself again. So you might put it that way, that Paul Saul was thinking about it. Was he really thinking about was he really thinking about himself? Did he really know who he was? Because Nick was saying what he was thinking about himself in this video. And that guy from India, Girij, was also talking about what they are thinking about himself. The show must go on, he said. I decided the show must go on, regardless of what happens. And in 11 years post-paralysis, I accomplished 15 gigantic projects, 15 of them. So he was actually thinking about himself too. Question is, did he really know what he is? Did Saul, the king of Israel, did he really know who he was? What was he using to define himself? I bet he was using his position as a king and the respect he gained from people outside things that are outside of his mind. No, his mind will focus on these outside accolades. And we can go on and discuss this further and further and bring in so many scriptures to talk about it again. Like I said, I'm restraining myself from preaching here because that's not what this session is about. But really, if you don't know who you are, that's when thinking about yourself becomes as if it's not the obstacle. You really don't know. If you really know who you are designed to think about what you can do, what can happen through you. And we can go on and talk more about this. Let's continue with our questioning. But we picked up here, it's his mind. What was the difference? At the question, the way your mind works is called your personal philosophy. The way your mind works. Look at, if you remember the story, who do you think will be blamed for Saul's loss of his kingdom heritage? I don't know whether you can record the story as we're talking about it. But Samuel said to Saul, your dynasty was designed to last forever. God had made the declaration that your kingdom, after you, your children will come, it will last forever. That was the design. Saul lost that. It didn't happen. God's true word, God himself said it, but it never happened. Question, who was to blame? Why did Saul lose his heritage? Was it David that took it away from him? Or was this Goliath that scared him away from it? Or do you think it is the women who we are singing, Saul has killed his thousands and David his 10,000? Who do you think? Why did Saul lose his heritage? What was so real about him? He lost it. Please answer me.
Going back to the topic, what is holding us back?
Yeah.
What is holding us back? There's this general saying that we are the architects of whatever we become. From that alone, I think it was Saul that held himself back, that was responsible for the kingdom being torn away from him. That being said, like one of the speakers said, his relationship with God was not that so developed that he would be able to show who God is, the God that is to be feared, to be revered, the God that is to be trusted. Because if the prophet could tell him to wait for him, even if he is 20 minutes late, knowing from the story of his ancestors, God was always there for the children of Israel. He should have waited. If he could take them through the Red Sea, give them the water, sweeten the water of Mara and all that. If he had developed those things, because God commanded the children of Israel that they should always hand down the story to their descendants. So that knowledge was available to him. I was available to David. David used it, referring to those stories and making something out of those stories. Saul did not make anything out of those stories, so it was up to him to lose his kingdom or to make it existent. I mean, continue to exist.
Yeah, thank you for the way you brought it out. You know, those phrases you used. You know, I like the phrase you used, that David used those stories and Saul didn't use them. Because it happens with many of us. We see things said by God about us, but we don't use it to frame our thinking. We just have nice Bible studies and answer the questions and then move on to the next topic. So that's the way you brought that. David used it to frame his thinking, so that it now started driving his actions, his normal daily life. But Saul didn't use it to frame his thinking. After all, the world thinking was available. Use your sword and your position of power to do things on it. So he didn't think about the anointing, the praise, the presence of God, what he could do with it. So he never practiced it before that day. He only practiced what he could do with his sword and with his physical things he had. He never practiced what to do with the presence of God. So he wasn't used to it. The framing of his mind was a problem. It wasn't Goliath. It wasn't David. It wasn't the women. But he would point at all these. He would point at Goliath and point at women, point at David. And in practical reality, it was the framing of his mind. And Saul is not different. He's a physical human being that lived here, like we are living, all of you and I, all of us here. And that's the question we are just answering, why Saul lost his heritage. The framing of his mind, was what made him lose his heritage. More of it coming. Your personal philosophy. Jim Rohn said, can one of you read that, please? Read that thing on the screen, please. One of you read that, please.
Your personal philosophy is the greatest determining factor in how your life works out.
Your personal philosophy. You know, some of us are challenging environments. You think it's my environment is what is dictating how my life is working out. We are challenging government in different countries. My God is the government, is the economy, is my school, or and many other things. Your personal philosophy, the framing of your mind, is the greatest determining factor in how your life works. I believe you saw it demonstrated in those two videos. Your personal philosophy makes the difference between being a bomb in life or being a CEO in life. Is the framing of your mind. It's not what physical things are available to you or not available to you. I was asking the question, why do you think Africans are fleeing Africa? We have terrible circumstances in the north of African countries. And then the Chinese are trooping to Africa. Has somebody asked me that question? Particularly if those that were not here last week. Why do you think Africans are fleeing Africa and Chinese are trooping to Africa?
Edna is speaking is because they have seen potentials in Africa. But Africans are not seeing.
Yeah. It's the same thing. That's a mindset. They see something that the Africans that are living in the land don't see. The framing of their mind, the framing of their mind. The same belief.
They see opportunities while Africans see obstacles.
Yeah, sure. Yep. We see the land as a place that devours its inhabitants. and they see it as a land that is flowing with milk and honey. The same land. So I said the same beliefs that form our personal philosophy determine our value systems, what we count as important or not. Think about someone who decides to start his day at 5 a.m. in order to take advantage of opportunities, doing what his philosophy or his framing of his mind has taught him is valuable, the way his mind is framed. He have this habit that he'll be waking up 5 a.m. so he can get certain things on because of the way he sees his life and the world. Another person, on the other hand, decides that his day has to start about 12 noon, doing what his philosophy has taught him is valuable. That early morning rest is the sweetest. That he has to really rest the body very well, because a strong body, I mean, a well-rested body is the height of life. That's the framing of his mind. And question is, from the judgments people make about what is valuable, they will get drastically different results. The person who is waking up by 5 a.m. and the one that sleeps till 12 noon, they will come out with different results in life. That's guaranteed. And it doesn't matter which government is in power. It does not matter what the cost of fuel is. It doesn't matter whether the fuel is too expensive or being given out for free. Their life results will be different. One will still be going down despite being given fuel for free and giving free food, and the other one will be going up, and it will not be the government pushing him forward. Therefore, you need to examine your value system, what you are counting as important in life. Is it helping you or hindering you? We're talking about real life here. Your personal philosophy, the framing of your mind, sets the sail of your life. We make decisions based on what we think is valuable, is important. Every one of us, that's the way we function daily in our life operations. You make decisions based on what you think is valuable. And the decisions you make, accumulated over time, takes each one of us to different destinations in life. Inevitable success or unavoidable failure. We might think is the circumstance in our environment that is dictating what is happening to me. But I hope those two videos have tried to reshape that thinking. What guides us to different destinations in life is the way we have chosen to set the sail of our lives, framing of our mind, the way we chose to set it. The way each of us thinks makes the major difference in where each of our lives arrives. The major difference is not the circumstance or the wind that is blowing. The major difference is the decisions we make in that circumstance. When the winds blow, the decisions we make. How we think and how we respond has a far greater capacity to destroy our lives than any challenge we face. For example, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's a phrase that we have heard probably, and it's a good philosophy. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. On the other, it's a good philosophy, but a Snicker bar a day makes a happy living. I said, it's a poor philosophy. And each one of these philosophies maintained for 5 years. The results will show, regardless of the government in power. In fact, your father might even be the president himself. Maintain these two philosophies, the results will show. It has nothing to do with the school you went to. Whether your dad is poor, your father or your mom didn't do anything to help you in life when you were growing up. Nothing to do with it. Each of these philosophies maintained for 5 years, the results will show. So a few errors in judgment, repeated every day, is what accumulates as a life success or a disaster. A few errors in judgment. And that's what helps us camp with what we call formula for failure in life. Can somebody read that? Formula for failure is what?
The few errors in judgment repeated every day calculate the cumulative effects of these few errors repeated every day for 5 years.
Just accumulated for a few errors. Just put one of the things, what I just put in the last slide, a Snicker bar a day. Just keep eating it. The first day you eat it, there will be no difference. Nobody will pick any difference. In fact, maybe in the first week will not pick any difference. They keep eating it. For 5 years, the difference will be clear. 7 up. Difference will be clear. It has nothing to do with the school you went to or how many degrees you got. It doesn't even matter whether you own the bank. The results will show in your health. So, formula for success is what? Somebody read that, please. Somebody else read that, please. Formula for success.
A few simple disciplines practice every day. This starts a whole new life.
That's it. A few simple disciplines practice every day. A whole new life and a whole new trajectory of life starts. A few simple disciplines practice every day. If you decide to go for the apple instead of the Snicker bar, you immediately begin the process of turning your life around. Immediately. So, how did we get what we count as important? How did we come about valuing apple more than Snicker bar, or valuing Snicker bar more than apple, or any other thing that what you hold as your value that's important to you? We picked it up from several things. We picked them up from our school friends, the influences that our school friends had on us as we are growing up, from the streets, our friends in the street. We pick them up from the books we read. We pick them up from home, at home you grew up. Whatever is practiced often, even the village or community you grew up, whatever their collective thinking, the way they reason, that's what you hold. In fact, you pick it up from the things you listen to and observe on TV or speakers or all these sources are feeding your mind with information. And you are observing what is going on. Each of them is framing your thinking. Developing a powerful philosophy for better life outcomes. If you understand this principle as a governing life, you make a decision. Again, you see the importance of knowing your end from the beginning. Because you now know how life's journey will occur. You determine the destination your life must arrive. You were designed to do that. And that's what you're going to open your mind to see in this course. You're designed to know your end. So you can make a choice of how to set your sail on a daily basis to bring you to that end. It is not supposed to be driven by the winds or the circumstances of life. Develop a powerful philosophy and become aware today that when you are cultivating your mind, you are cultivating your rule or your reign or your dominion in life. And I said, please discuss this. When you are cultivating your mind, you are cultivating your rule. You see, some of us, many of us we are Christians, so we read that scripture that God has made us in his likeness and his image and told us to have dominion. And we pray for dominion. We believe it's something God gives us. Even though he said it, It is something we pray to come and happen to us and put us in dominion, in command. And we pray for it. And I'm saying that from what we've just discussed on how life works, become aware that when you are told to have dominion, it means cultivate your mind. Will you agree with me that Nick and Girich, those two guys we watched in the video, were expressing dominion? Will you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
They were expressing dominion over their circumstances. And it's all coming from the framing of their mind. They were not praying for it. Of course, you can tell Nick had a very solid relationship with God. I don't know about Girish. But it's obvious that they were not having it because they were praying for it. They, of course, were prayed, Nick in particular, I know, that the prayer, that the connection with God was opening his mind. But it's the opening of his mind that he was making use of. It's not something God, dominion is not something God is putting on him from outside. It's something that is working in him that he is expressing outside. It's not luck. Something happenstance that was just happening. This occasion just happened to. No, it's the framing of his mind that was governing his outward expressions. So I said, become aware today that when you are cultivating your mind, you are cultivating your rule, your reign, and your dominion in life. Become aware of it. Because when you become conscious of it, then you know where to start governing. You don't wait to have money to begin. You don't wait for anybody to help you to begin. Nobody can help you start cultivating your mind. That's where your life starts. Of course, you know the scripture that says that, but you probably haven't known how it actually works out in life. So be careful what you think, because your thoughts run your life. You know that scripture? Okay, I'll move ahead. Life is not about what you will get or acquire, but what, who, and what you will become. What capacities will you develop? What company will you keep? These are sources that are bringing information that's framing your thinking. What books will you read? What skills will you cultivate? How will you be shaped within the next time period, next 12 months? This is April. By April 2024, how will you be shaped? How will you form yourself? All these things I mentioned up there are the decisions you make for your life that will shape the way you will be next 12 months. And it doesn't matter what government is in power. It does not matter what the government is doing. Doesn't matter what is happening in our outside world. So, what will you turn into the next time period? Who and what will you become? I'll take an example of this guy. His current employer is not paying him enough. Therefore, his value system is, that's not fair. And then he resorts to retaliation. But I'm not going to be working out, putting so much effort here and be getting so little. So he reduces his efforts. He begin to do things that he believes that his current paycheck justifies. And I say there's nothing wrong with making that decision, provided his goal is to remain where he is, doing what he's currently doing, and getting paid what he's currently getting paid for the rest of his life. Of course, it is that kind of framing of the mind. First of all, can you tell me what is wrong with that decision? That he's going to reduce his efforts, he's going to do what he believes his current paycheck requires. What's wrong with that decision? I need a response, please. What is wrong with that decision?
That decision will make him to live below his potential and not develop his skill or his potential further than where he is.
That's right.
He will be satisfied with mediocrity.
Yep, that's right. Because he is focused on outside, what he gets outside, what he will get, money. His mind is locked on the money he will get. He's not thinking about the potential that will develop, that will now set the sail and drive him how his life turns out. Because if he's focused on it, and check it out, when our minds, we are focused on our potential, we paid to get it. Was that what all of us did when we went to school? He didn't know how to read and write, and you paid to be given homework and denied play. You paid to work so that you will develop your potential. But of course, when we finish our secondary school, university, and got our degree, now our certificate, we believe our learning, our development has finished. So we want to be paid more than we want to develop. So our mind is now locked on the money we'll get, not the growth that will happen in us. And that's what makes people make that kind of decision. Each of us get, of course, that information we accumulated, we saw that people practicing that what we get from a job is more important than what we give. We've seen a practice around us, so our mind is framed there now. What we get is more important than what we give in a job. And that's why it is rare, particularly in our climate in Africa, to find people who will job volunteer. Just go engage in a very valuable job volunteering, not for them to pay you, just to get the experience, to cultivate your potential, because you see what those guys are doing will cultivate you and bring you to higher level of expression in life than where you are. It's not commonly done in Africa. But over here, we see it here. We see it here quite often. We see it here. People in Africa, the government has to make the young people to give up the first year after their graduation from university. It has to be a law for us to do it in Africa. Whereas over here, so young people there's no law about it. The young people finish university, they take 1 year out to work on them. I didn't say everybody does it, but it happens commonly here. They do it here. Just take 1 year out to work on a voluntary basis. Not everybody does it, I said. So it's not a common, but some people, but you can see people doing it over here. I saw more people doing it here than ever saw it. I didn't see anybody doing it in Nigeria, when I was in Nigeria, except the youth service that everybody has to do. Okay, I don't know how it is in other African countries. I'm talking about Nigeria because that's where I had my experience. Now, there are sources that we can use to rebuild and frame and develop powerful philosophy that will guide our lives. And I'm not going to spend time talking about it. There are things that you can tell me. Can you please give me examples of how can we rebuild our philosophy? How can we cultivate our mind? Which sources, where can we get information to frame our thinking in the direction that takes our life to where we have to arrive at? Can you give me examples, please?
So sometimes there's motivational speakers. So you've got people like Les Brown, Miles Monroe. So you can read, and they've got lots of teaching that talks on lots of different subjects.
Yeah.
So you can go to those sources in order to, again, shape and challenge your mindset and your thinking. which is to keep yourself going or to bounce back from situations. Because I think sometimes we have knockbacks and then we don't want to try again.
Yeah.
So it's building that resilience that didn't work. Or do I give up now? No, we keep going. So sometimes you do have to push yourself. It might not be in your family. It might not be in your friendship circle. You could be the only one, the pioneer doing it. So there's no blueprint you can follow. You're not following in a family footstep. Somebody hasn't paved the way for you. So you have to go, you're on your own. So you have to go and research and find, somebody who's going to be your encourager or your cheerleader to say, keep on going.
Thanks, Oyoni. Yeah, anybody else? Not something else want to suggest? What can we do to build our philosophy of life to take us to where we have to arrive at? Because we are responsible for it.
I believe reading books that will challenge our thinking.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think Bible is the best books that will reveal the true personality the stuff we are made to become.
Yeah.
And if we read that and additional books that challenge us in many areas, I think it will help us to form philosophies of life.
Yeah. I like the word you use, challengers. You open your mind to things that will challenge you, that will challenge why you are the way you are, why you function the way you function. Not what makes you comfortable.
Something else, I think. Something else I'm thinking about here. She said, one of the speakers said, develop your own blueprints, push yourself. Then she said something I'm anchoring on, do your own research.
Yeah.
And what are we researching on? That, like the Bible says, you shouldn't remove the old landmarks. So if you research on history and look at what has been the guidance of generations before you, that might make you to remain in a place of control so that you don't go out of control, while at the same time you are creating your own blueprints, like she said. And that blueprint will make you to create impact. Life is actually all about impact. Who are you impacting? Are you impacting yourself or are you impacting others? When we push ourselves, we do the research, and then we go back into history so that we don't get out of the way or overstep our boundaries.
Yeah. So that's all. You've touched on all the things I listed there: reading books, being listening outside your environment, positive role models, other people's success, other people's failures, research. Research, not research on what people have done before, research, and then open up your mind to new things that God will show you and that will come into your mind, because you are here to create. So you are here to create what has not been created. So there are new things are going to bring that other people will now stand on to create more of themselves too in the future. Only through careful mental preparation can we consistently make wise decisions. Only through careful mental preparation can we consistently make wise decisions. If we are not happy with where our past decisions have led us, then the place to start is with our current thinking process. Working on your mind. I showed this doc experience. I think you can see what a mind framing can be doing, and you may not even be aware that it is happening to you. Watch that duck. It passes through the manhole, lost some of her cheeks, notices that. Watch her. She comes back, goes on top of the manhole, and all the rest of her cheeks try to follow her. And what happens? She loses them, the rest. Who do you think that dog will blame if she was a human being that made her lose her cheeks?
Myself. She'll blame herself.
Is that what happens in our society? People normally blame themselves for the things that happen to them.
She will blame the manhole.
The manhole.
Blame the manhole for being there.
But
the
she
manhole.
really, she,
And
she
the person
should
that
blame us.
built the manhole.
You
Because
blame the
she
people
did
that
not
put the
stop the
manhole.
ground for
Yes.
passing through them.
Fumi, you said something?
I think she should. I think she should blame herself because she did not study the path she was taking her chicks through.
Yeah, that's
And
correct.
if she had
She
studied
should.
the
I agree, she should.
now,
But what typically happens in our society is what I'm asking. We,
okay, she blamed the person that put the manhole there.
yeah, she will blame she will blame everything outside of herself. She will not know it's the framing of her own mind that made her lose her chicks. She wouldn't know.
I would blame myself actually.
You know,
I would blame
we'll blame
myself.
everything outside of herself.
I would
Somebody
blame
should have
myself
warned me
for
there was a
it.
manhole. Who put the manhole there? Why is the manhole open? And all the kind of examples that will come up.
Why did they put a sign to say there is a manhole?
Why didn't you're right? They should have put a sign.
Can you just imagine that?
Everything but me. Everything else will be wrong, except me, who is a saint, of course. And I think
Okay.
it's right.
True. Why did my parents do this? Why
That's right.
why were my parents so aggressive?
Mhm.
My parents were always beating each other. That's why I'm beating my wife now.
That's
You
right.
know, and
Yeah.
then-
Yeah, blame everything else except me. So you should now have understood that your potential is limitless. I hope you've got that. Have you?
Yeah.
Yes.
But what if you've understood what personal philosophy is and how yours is formed? And I hope you got the origin. You've got an idea of where you got your values, the value system governing your life now. And that you have picked up on how personal philosophies govern decisions and therefore life outcomes. The outcomes you have in your life right now is the philosophies that brought it about. And the one you will have tomorrow is your philosophy that bring it about. How to reform, and you picked up how to reform your personal philosophies to get better results and how to make a choice of failure or success. Is there any questions? Does anybody have any question concerning this? Okay.
Okay, let's just see the last slide again. The full slide. I would like to see the full slide. Just the
This one?
last thing. This one? I would like to see, I wanted to get a screenshot of that slide, but you removed it quickly. So can I just, thank you.
Okay. All right then. Okay. So let's move
All
on.
right, then. So let's move on.
I will send to you. If you go back to your WhatsApp, I'm going to drop. I will just resend it because everything is already posted on that WhatsApp group. So
Remember, Ione is not on the WhatsApp. I was able she has entered now.
I told her to join. If she doesn't join, she won't be able to get the things I'm posting. Ione, have you joined?
I don't have the WhatsApp details, so I don't have that information.
Okay. What you can do quickly, Ione, open the form you filled to enroll. That enrollment form, open it.
Okay.
Just put something in every field that will allow you to submit that form again. Don't put anything there. Don't have to answer the question correctly. Don't put anything on the field. Just put something there to allow you to submit the form. As soon as you submit the form, the link will come up. Click that link to come in. Do it now, please, before I post the assignment.
Okay.
The exercise. Okay, I am on point 2. Okay, so you have Ione, have you joined? I think
1 second.
you joined, right?
Yeah, I filled in the details. I've submitted the form again.
Have you seen the join the WhatsApp group link? As soon as you submit, that should.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm in the group now.
Right. Okay. I'm now posting the distance to you now. You can see the exercise. So
thank
you. Please take 5 minutes to go through the exercise. Each one of you open it now. It's a form. Open that form and go through the exercise, please, in the next 5 minutes. Also, we'll see how we manage our time because we are really behind. So I will just give you 5 minutes to do the exercise. They take another 5 minutes for break, and then we'll come back. I will come back in 9:58, just 10 o'clock, and then start the next presentation. Yeah?
Okay.
I will see you all by 10 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.